Hey everyone, Aaron here with Elite Watersports, and today's video is all about Fliteboard control. We're going to go over stance, throttle control, how to stand like a pro, how to learn how to carve. We're going to go over it all today. Very in-depth, detailed video, so stay tuned. Let's have some fun. The very first thing I like to go over is just your simple stance. Right now, we're at a nice idle speed. And everybody likes to have like this super wide stance, okay? Just like wakeboarding or something like that. And what we found with all the foiling that we do is a nice closed stance allows you to displace your weight a lot easier. With foiling, we're always constantly trying to keep that nose down. And by having our weight a little forward on the board in our closed stance, we're able to displace that weight a lot easier. If you kind of imagine closed stance and you lift one foot, you can do that pretty easily. With a wide stance, it's really, really hard to displace that weight. Another thing is you see a lot of beginners kind of lean forward like this, trying to get weight forward on the board. And it's actually everything in your hips. So all the more advanced riders, we're going to be shifting our weight forward with our hips and bringing our head forward. Next thing is if you draw a line down the middle of your board, a straight line down the middle, you don't want to have your feet right in the middle of the board. You actually want to have them staggered so your heel on your front foot is towards the rail and your toes on your back foot is actually towards the rail. This allows you to have a really good control of your roll rate. When you're in line like this, it gets a little unstable, and those are indicators that you need to stagger your stance a little bit more. So let's go ahead and speed up a little bit. We'll get up on plane and kind of show you how I ride. All right, so this is my really wide stance, okay? It does feel comfortable, but you can see that it's really a lot of work on that front leg to keep that nose down. If I bring my stance a little closer, now look how easy, nice and comfortable it is. I can just kind of cruise like this. So wide stance, I'm really having to control my pitch. And with a nice skinny stance, now I'm really nice and comfortable. All right, let's go ahead and do a turn. For a turn, I'm going to widen my stance. So the golden saying is to have a really, really nice bent legs into a turn. And as you come out of a turn, having a straight legs. So having straight legs out of a turn and even bringing your feet forward on the board, back to that comfortable stance. All right, so I'm going to go into a turn. I go back with my back foot, and now I can start carving pretty aggressively. Cameraman. But I can really start aggressively turning the board with a wide stance because I'm actually adding a little pressure to my back foot as I go into a nice banking turn. Once I straighten out, I can go back to straight legs. Nice, comfortable ride. Now here I am going pretty fast, okay, generally speaking. One thing that we have is a trigger to control our speed. And that's really fun. I can go faster or slower with that trigger, like a weed whacker engine or something like that. But an easier way to come off a plane to put your board back on the water is just simply hit minus. Then you can hit minus a couple times and it won't just drop you out. It'll slowly slow you down. And now the board's back on the water, nice and comfortable. When I want to get started again, hit plus a couple times. And this time, when we want to add speed, we don't want to just hit plus a bunch of times. We want to hit one time, go a little faster, and then hit it another time, start to engage the foil because we're going fast enough. All right, coming back off plane, hitting minus all the way down to first gear. And then now I can come down to a nice comfortable stop and sit down on my board. All right, here I am starting off with a good amount of speed. I'm on gear 2, but you notice the nose is really high, and I'm not that heavy of a rider. I'm about at 170. And for the heavier weight riders, we have a pro tip for you. A lot of times what happens is we'll bump up the gears nice and slow, kind of ease into it, and this nose really starts to come up. And we're really waiting and waiting and waiting for this board to plane out. And for the heavyweight riders, a pro tip, this is after you've already kind of learned how to foil, is that if you feel like you're comfortable with like at 6 or maybe 7, even 5, we can foil pretty slow. But if you're feeling sluggish, you're sucking up a lot of battery, or not very efficient, what we say is bump it up like 2 gears, like maybe go to like 6 to 8th gear. And what it's going to happen is that you get on plane pretty fast, and then you can back that off a little bit by hitting minus. So here I am. I'm going to bump it up to like 7 real fast. That planes me out. And then I can hit that minus as soon as I'm foiling right away. Pro tip, what I kind of mentioned earlier, is keeping your feet a little bit closer together will allow you to keep a lot more weight to the front of the board so that nose doesn't want to come up out of the water. So don't go with this wide stance, stink bug stance. Have a nice closed stance, and then hit that throttle or hit the plus button a couple times. Get those closed stance. Once you're foiling, then hit the minus button to slow down a little bit. And now you're going to be a lot more efficient and not have to wait so long to get up on foil. So it's all about playing around with that minus and plus. Now, if you feel unstable, the natural reaction is to throttle down, and that causes you to really actually have instability in your speed. What I like to do is just go ahead. If you feel unstable, slam the board back down in the water, hold it there. Once you feel comfortable again, then you can raise it back up to get it back off the water. So again, if you feel unstable, slam the board back down, get it in the water, plant it, don't foil right away. Everything's stable, everything's good. Then you can get back up on foil. A lot of times you'll get too high and that motor will start to breach. You might fall down. All right, keep it in the water. Don't try to foil right away. So get that leg bent, push down on the nose, get everything stable, and then go back up. If you notice what I'm doing for as far as my body mechanics, my back leg is generally pretty straight. And my front leg controls the height of my board. So if I extend my leg, I'll go up. If I bend it, I'll go down. Next thing is kind of understanding your own body. What is fatiguing? If your back leg's always fatiguing, that means you have way too much weight on the back leg. So just shift back on the board, just toe to heel and shimmy your way back to the back of the board. Now all of a sudden I have a lot of weight on my front leg. We're gonna do a nice little carving turn to the left. So wider stance. As soon as I come out of that turn, I go back to that nice skinny stance where it's nice and comfortable. All right, here I am. I'm gonna bump it up to like 8 real fast, get up on foil, keep that weight forward, and then hit minus right away as soon as I start foiling. Now, as far as the throttle response goes, I do play with that quite a bit, and that's generally when I'm in the waves, but most of the time I'm just using plus or minus as a nice comfortable way to fly. But if I do want to throttle, I might bring it up to, say I'm on 3 right now, I might bring it up to like 7, and then start playing with that throttle. I usually just use that for when I'm in turns So I can really start to advance my riding a bit and have some fun with the foil. All right, here we are with nice flat water. We're gonna do some carves. And how do you do carves? That's gonna be toes and heels and a little bit of weight distribution. If I really wanna hit a really nice carve, right before that carve, okay, I'm gonna widen my stance and then really lay into that back foot, because now that back foot is controlling my height more than my front foot. At least I have a lot more pressure on my back foot. As I come out of that turn, I'm gonna go back to a skinnier stance, wider stance, going into that turn, and I can really lay out a nice turn. I'm on a 1100 cruiser. If I wanna advance my riding a little bit more, my favorite wing in the whole Fliteboard lineup, and this is personal opinion, for my style, is the 1300S Flow S. And that allows me to really lay out some really nice turns and not be worried about the wingtips coming out of the water and breaching, cavitating, and crashing. Toe side transition, same thing, wider stance, and start to pressurize that back foot, keeping the boards somewhat just barely off the water. And as you get better, you can kind of bring it up a little higher. You can see that I'm bending my back knee in a little bit. And then as I come out of the turn, I'm getting ready. All right, here we are, riding a nice straight line. I got my feet pretty close stance. And now, when I want to go into a nice carve, I widen my stance, get ready to lay out with some weight in my back leg. I can really tighten that turn and practice coming right back out of that turn, going back to skinny stance. You see a lot of the pro riders efoiling, they go skinny stance for speed. And then once they go into that turn, go wide stance and then lay out on that back foot. And turning with my shoulders in the direction of travel, even turning my head a little bit further, looking around the turn. As I come back around to the right, same thing, same stance. And I want to look around the turn. If I stare at the water, that kind of gets in your brain a little bit on elevation control. Look out on the horizon and use that for elevation control. So one added benefit that you have with Fliteboard is actually the shims on the back wing right here. You actually come with a 0 through 5 shim in your box, and most people just kind of throw one on and just stay that way. And what we like to say is that the 0 is for zero lift, for more speed, and then the 5 is for maximum amount of lift. And how that applies, or how it applies to you as a rider, say if you're an advanced rider wanting to exceed the limitations, your speed limit, if you go to the 0, you'll have less forward weight, so you can be more comfortable on the board to go faster. The nose will stay down lower. If you go up to that 5 shim, you're gonna be almost hanging toes off the front of the board in order to keep the nose down without breaching the surface. If you're a heavier weight rider, you could use the bigger shims, 3, 4, or 5, so that you can go slower, but generate enough lift to sustain nice, stable flight. But if you're a kid or a younger person, or, you know, in that 100-pound range, if you put a 5 shim on there, man, that nose is going to be hanging way out of the water, and well, it's going to be a pretty unstable ride. So lighter weight riders use the smaller shims, heavier weight riders use the bigger shims. So all in all, Fliteboarding is absolutely amazing. Efoiling has opened up so many doors for people worldwide, and especially down here in St. Petersburg, we have some of the best conditions in the world, flat water and canals for days, and we even have swell. We have some waves here and there. It just makes us have like one of the ideal spots for efoiling. Come on out and give it a shot with Elite Watersports. We have demo boards, and also we have boards for sale. We've been doing it since 2018, so we kind of know what's going on. We can get you on the right board that's specifically for your exact desires. whether it's family or for shredding. We'll see you later.